Hey, Eric Sider here with a fall garden update. I got new t-shirt designs in the shop, and if you're in need of assistance with your property, you're looking for property, you want to maximize production, or you want a full design and plan towards abundance, check out the consultation and design links. All of that will be below in the description. If you're new to the channel, I'm in Sacramento, which is hardiness zone 9A, 9B, mostly 9B, but as any urban jungle, there is a lot of microclimates, particularly here in Sacramento as you get towards the foothills. But we have mild winters, regular frosts. Rarely do we get a hard freeze, and very unlikely that the ground will actually freeze. So a lot of things can survive through the winter, even if the tops die back. As long as the root zone is intact, they will come back in the spring. There's plenty of success and plenty of failures and mistakes to show you today, so let's see what's happening. Okay, so we're gonna start on the east side of the house, which gets the least amount of sun at the moment, and will get less and less as the sun gets lower in the sky. So I didn't bother planting anything towards the end here because it's just not really enough sun to make it worth it. But there's some zucchini left over from the spring and summer, still producing, still a few little zucchinis happening. So here we got Swiss chard, strawberries, and some end of their life tomatoes. Now these beds I wasn't very happy with. Normally they produce really well, but for some reason this year they did not. But I think I'm just gonna redo these over the winter. Sugar snap peas and some green beans along the fence here. More chard. It's basically Swiss chard everywhere now as I let it go to seed. And these spring onions are more or less perennialized. It all went to seed. Well, it's probably a mixture of self-seeding and perennial. Amongst the peas and beans, I got all this self-seeding lettuce, which is just coming up wherever it pleases and makes great for fall salad. If you have the space to let some things go to seed, I highly recommend it because pretty much don't have to plant ever again. I mean, it will come up in some inconvenient places and potentially not exactly the timing you want, but the plants themselves are definitely more hardy. Here I got some seedlings from the nursery, some Chinese cabbage, spinach, got arugula, and you can see the Chinese cabbage is getting destroyed by, as far as I can tell, I think it's slugs and snails because I have not found any of the cabbage caterpillars, which usually destroys all brassicas. Tomatillo is still producing, and here is Chinese cabbage, arugula, and some broccoli, all looking good. And then this is pretty much the shade line from the wall there, so not much point in planting anything there. Crepe myrtle tree, which has got to be 10 to 15 years old and still looking pretty small, and I think it's because it's just been growing in dead soil. So there's underneath the rocks is just weed mat and heavy clay. I'm gonna remove all the rocks, get rid of the weed mat, throw down some compost and cardboard and some flowers and other support species, and I think this tree will be much happier. Right here is a little ground cover experiment. This is woolly thyme, which is known as a pretty drought resistant, somewhat durable ground cover alternative. We'll see how that gets on. So we got the nursery stock here. Everything seems to be going well. Got some different types of bamboo, some figs, fruit trees, goji berries coming on, which if you've never had a fresh goji berry, tastes kind of like a little bit like a tomato. Got a nice looking ginger, some different rescue avocados, and a mishmash of different things. Got some passion fruit, loquats, sea berries, avocados, wisteria, some mulberry cuttings. We got a banana, from the banana tree, a Korean tea plant. This is a volunteer date from just one of the date pits. Got a yuzu, Meyer lemon, figs, and pomegranates all mixed in there. Here we have this big ornamental pear tree, which they're not long-lived, so it's definitely getting towards the end of its life, and it's definitely overgrown, so we're going to be giving that a bit of a haircut this winter, and probably planting maybe a couple fruit trees on either side of it, and they will use the overstory protection as they get established, and then they will become the shade for this area and producing fruit. I removed the shade cloth, and what we have is a lot of self-seeding greens, a lot of kale and stuff starting to pop up. This is some calendula, got little kale plants, mixture in of all different weeds and wildflowers, some chard. Banana's looking nice. See if it survives this winter. I think hopefully get some fruit out of it. And we got a new pup coming up there. So bananas typically need 18 to 24 months to set fruit, which is why if they die in the winter, you're not going to ever get fruit on them. Now there are some cold hardy bananas from kind of like the foothills of India that I'm looking to trial. Here is the radish carrot bed. Just bought a bunch of seed and scattered it in there. Covered it with a bit of peat moss and compost and wood shavings. So you can see the radish obviously comes up first, and then there's carrots are in there. So what you can do is, obviously this is far too many radish plants for the area, so the new growth, they can be microgreens, salad greens, and then baby radish. So just harvest, and it also thins it out. And as the radishes are finishing, then the carrots are coming up through that, and you can do the same thing, baby carrots, as you thin them out. And then the carrots and the radish both pretty much can survive through the winter. Got the cherry tomatoes finishing off here. More arugula, Chinese cabbage, and broccoli at the end here, and another tomatillo. Got the New Zealand spinach, which is a really good perennial cooked green, very hardy. Trying to sneak in another round of tomatoes, see if the timing right there. So got potatoes and whatever is self-seeding in the greens department. Now the transition from summer to fall is very tricky here. We had 90 degrees right into October, so it can be tricky to get the cool weather crops established while it's really hot, but still need enough sunlight to get them going. Yacon is looking very good. You can make a sugar syrup from that. And the tree collard plants are coming back to life. Did not like the heat of the summer, I don't think. Then here is just a mishmash of lots and lots of poppy plants coming up, Swiss chard, you got some tatsoi, lettuce, potatoes. So it's basically battle royale for dominance here. And then this bed gets almost no sun in the middle of winter. There's still some onions and garlic popping up, more poppies, a row of comfrey. This mostly is just poppies and other wildflowers. Society garlic, one of my favorite edge plants. The Ahi Merchant pepper, or Italian wax pepper. It's like similar to pepperoncini, but it gets spicier as it gets red, so you can harvest it early and have a mild pepper for pickling, or you can let it go and have a very hot, spicy pepper. And it was established in the foothills of the Sierra Nevadas, so pretty hardy, great little addition. You got some asparagus, some ginger, lemon verbena, lemon balm, calla lilies, some agapanthus, lemongrass, lavender, sweet potato, just all a bunch of random stuff in there. We got the persimmon tree here. Did not produce barely at all this year. Last year it had a lot of little fruits. This year had 1 or 2 larger fruits. Obviously the tree itself is not looking very good. I think it's just been stunted, growing in dead soil for so long, and it's very asymmetric. It's got a very eclectic guild and compost going down below, and hopefully I can prune it back into a healthier shape. See how that goes for next spring. But just to show what's happening here, so we got ice plant, which is a great living ground cover for the drylands. Mallow is a volunteer, which is a edible volunteer or weed. Got a goji berry, which can get very wild growth. Some strawberry mint, and a few other random volunteers and plants. Oh, lemon thyme is very happy looking here. And then here is an apple tree, which produced fine, but just tons of fruit flies, and obviously this needs a pruning, but I want to let it grow up because it will also provide shade in the afternoons in the summer for the garden here. So it's going to be less focused on maximum production and a bit more function, because apples aren't great. I mean, look, it's great to have apples and a fruiting fruit tree, of course, but I would not choose to put apples in Sacramento. There's a lot of other better performing fruits, particularly pomegranates and all your stone fruits, peaches, plums, cherries. Another eclectic guild. Got ice plant, salvia, there's a bergamot mint. We got all kinds of funky flavored mints. More mallow, some poppies, a tomato plant just going for it. And here we got a service berry, which is kind of like a mild blueberry flavored shrubby tree. Ground cherry, thornless boysenberry. Pear tree, which produced well. And again, I'm going to let that get some height on it. So I'll lose a little bit of production, but I'll get some sun protection. Another tomato. This is either chocolate mint or spearmint. I forget. They kind of all taste the same, to be honest. I'm no mint tasting expert, but another lemon thyme, ice plant, comfrey, of course. So here we have some newly planted sugar snap peas, hiding behind a brandywine tomato from the summer, and some chard and sweet potato, as well as the dominant plant was a passion flower vine, but it got decimated by the Gulf fritillary butterfly, which is a small orange butterfly, and the passion flower and passion fruit are the host plant for that, which has these very ravenous little spiky orange caterpillars, and annoyingly the chickens don't eat them. They're semi-poisonous to most animals, unfortunately, so I think the best thing is probably maybe for fish food. They completely cover the vine and eat the vine down to the bones, but it generally recovers. Same thing happened in Texas, and the passion flower vine can be quite aggressive. It's sending shoots up all over the place. Not a big deal. Basically, we had a butterfly garden all summer, but if I actually wanted to grow passion fruit, it might be a challenge to outcompete the caterpillars. But what's taken over at the moment is the chayote. So you can see it's starting to fruit. All tons of little fruit coming on. So I thought this was going to be producing more in the summertime, but this vine got eaten in early spring. No idea by what, but it came back like a champ, and it is pretty much using everything as a trellis. This is another sad apple tree, again, sitting in dead clay soil for most of its life, so hopefully all these trees come back around. And sweet potato is a really good ground cover for this climate, as well as a cooked green, and of course you get the tuber as well, but I mostly grow it as ground cover and for greens. Really good thing you can plant around your fruit trees, and not much bothers it from a pest standpoint. Okay, one of the big successes this year was the Trombocino chicken run cover. Produced like a champion. Still going. You can see it's got some, where are we? This little green colored fruit. So if you pick it green, you can use it like a summer squash, but if you leave it on the vine till it goes this kind of light tan orange, then it will store and be used as a winter squash. So it's one of the great things about the Trombocino is the versatility. There's also scarlet runner beans mixed in. Can be a perennial bean, but they don't like heat. So to produce pods, they actually need cooler weather. Maybe not something great for Sacramento, because in the middle of summer, it did not produce much pods at all. A result of the wet and cold spring this year is I've had an explosion of aphids, just pretty much covering everything, you can see. And aphids are farmed by ants. So I think the explosion of aphids created an explosion of ants, and the ants basically harvest the nectar from the aphids, and they don't really let anything eat them. But there are tons of ladybugs and ladybug larvae, which the larvae of the ladybug are mad aphid eaters. From ladybug larva to ladybug right there. Didn't really cause too much damage to any of the plants. I mean, the aphids, it was mostly just inconvenient to harvest. You need to rinse everything off. Great for the chickens because they get greens with a side of protein. There's going to be a fig tree going, basically letting the weeds run through. So just get fresh greens for the chickens. I got a random tomato growing there. Mulberry cutting I just stuck right in the ground, and looks like it's taken off. That's why I love mulberries. They're very easy to propagate. The all-star calamansi definitely got beat up this winter with the cold and rain. It was just, fruit was just rotting on the tree because it's just so much moisture, but it is coming back like gangbusters, so it's going to be a very healthy season. I think it's one of my favorite little citruses. All right, hope you enjoyed that tour of the garden and got some tips on what to do, what to try, and definitely things to avoid. The more we share, particularly of our accidents, the less collective mistakes we need to make, and the faster we can get forward to a world that makes sense. All right, as always, new t-shirt designs, and if you're in need of permaculture consultation or design services, links for all that will be below. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.